I found these really cute fairy cottages at Dollar Tree. My store is packed full of them. I knew they would be absolutely perfect for a Christmas in July DIY. We're going to be turning them into a fun and magical Christmas village. They remind me of English garden cottages, and I am so excited to transform these for a Christmas project. So of course we need to remove those labels and use whatever you like to use to remove labels. I just decided to just peel them off and they came off fine. They left a little bit of residue, but I was able to wipe that off with a rag. If you check out Dollar Tree, you'll see that they have some other styles of cottages to use as well. So I wanted to use these Simptap Arrtx acrylic markers. I wanted to use some acrylic markers because you can see the paint job on these is terrible. And I knew that I could fix them up, and I thought, why not try these out? Arrtx kindly gifted these to me. This is not a sponsored video, but I will have their products linked below for you to check out if you're at all interested. I just thought acrylic markers would work really well to enhance the detail on these projects. So first off, you want to make sure you shake these up, remove the end cap, and then you're going to press the button on the end about 4 to 5 times to activate the paint so it goes down into the nib. So you can see here, I'm shaking it, and I'm going to remove the cap, and I'm going to press that button on the end so that the paint goes down into the nib, and then they are ready to use. I like to test out my paint markers onto a piece of paper just so I can see what the color truly is. And now I am going to start to use them to really bring these cottages to life. So this particular one with the thatched roof, I am just dabbing on different layers of some green paint to create some depth. I am also allowing the color from underneath to show through. I like to do that because I really find it really brings a piece to life when you can create some different levels of definition. So I'm going to go in with another color here. And if you find that you get too much paint, you can take a rag and dab some of it off. You can also allow this to dry for a bit before you move on to the next color. So you can see I needed to darken it up. It was just too bright. So I'm going in with kind of a brown, it was almost like an olivey green tone to it. And I applied that, and then I'm taking my rag and dabbing it off, and that really helped to darken it up a bit. There wasn't a green in the set that was dark enough for my liking, so I thought I would try this out, and I actually really like the look that it is creating. So I'm also going to go over the shrubs that are in the front of this particular cottage. Again, all we're doing is really enhancing all the detail because the paint job on these were the pits. And I really wanted to bring these to life because they're so cute. I'm going in with a brown and I'm highlighting the woodwork that's around the door and the windows. If you don't have any paint markers, then I suggest that you use a fine paintbrush and a good set of some acrylic paints. And then you can go over this as well. But I will say that acrylic markers are pretty handy for a project like this. Now I'm going to go in and add a little bit of red on the shrubs to make it look like little red berries. You can see that this particular paint marker didn't fully charge in the nib. Sometimes I find that with paint markers, you'll get a pocket of air and sometimes it just won't soak up all the paint. So give it a shake or store it upside down and let gravity take hold and allow the paint to go into the nib. All right, so now I'm gonna just enhance the rocks on the stairs, and I'm going to just continue to add fun little touches on these cottages until I get a look that I am happy with. I've kept this one fairly simple, so I'm going to set this one aside and start on the next cottage. So I did not like the paint job on the front where the shrubs were by the door. they were barely painted. And so I'm going to go over it, the vine and the shrubs with my green paint, and then I'm going to go over the flowers with the red. Again, I thought that maybe these would look like berry clusters, and I thought that it would just be a nice Christmassy touch. So I really didn't like this creamy color. I thought it just looked too like perfect. So I'm going to try to use the paint markers to create a bit more of an old world look. So I'm just using different colors here, and I'm going back and forth, adding the color, wiping it off, going in with another color, just adding to some different layers. But I will say that I should have sealed this finish first before I started to play around, because you can see that these paint markers left some streakiness. Maybe it would have worked better if I added a bit of water. Maybe then I would have been able to move the paint around a bit. I suggest that you experiment and play around to see what kind of a finish you can come up with. And if you don't like it, well, it's just paint, so you can just paint it over. So I love to experiment and play around with different things when I'm crafting. I just love that challenge. So if there's something that you want me to try out, let me know down in the comments section. Again, like I said, I absolutely love a challenge, and I think it just would be so fun to try and create something from what you guys suggest. So I'm going to continue to work on the siding. I am going to go ahead and add some touches on the other sides of the house. And as I was working in amongst all these little nooks and crannies, I was having a hard time wiping off the excess paint. So what I discovered was using a Q-tip to wipe off the excess paint works really well to get into all those tiny spots. And I know you can find some Q-tips that have got a pointy tip to it, so that would actually work really well. If you've got some other suggestions, please drop that in the comment section below. That really helps all of us to just get our projects done. I'm really happy with how this is looking so far, but one thing I noticed is that under the roof line it looked unfinished, so I'm just going to go ahead and go in and paint that as well. I also added some black paint to the rock work that was on the house, and I am also detailing the wood that's around the windows, and then I'm going to be working on that other cottage as well. For this one, it was mostly the woodwork that was around the windows and across the this facade of the house. It just did not really show very well, so I am enhancing all that, also going around the roof line, added some touches on the shrubs, and I allowed them to dry well. Now I'm going to work on the base. I'm going to be using this wood sign that I picked up from Dollar Tree. These are great for creating different projects. I'm using some pine green and leaf green craft paint. I'm going to just start off with the pine green craft paint. It's just some cheap stuff that I got from my local dollar store, and I'm going to apply one layer. I'm okay if it's not perfectly covered, as I am going to be going over top of it with the leaf green and allowing some of the paint from underneath to show through. So all I'm going to do with the leaf green is stipple it on, and you can see the texture that I am creating and how the green from underneath is showing as well. I find that that really creates some depth. It looks like moss or grass, however you want to call it. And I really think this is an effective technique. So I'm going to go ahead and cover that and then set it aside and allow that to dry. Now I'm going to come back to my cottages. I'm using some off-white, or like a cream color. It's just an off-white color. And I'm using a stiff bristle brush and applying a dry brush of this paint, as I wanted to create the look of snow or frost on our roofs, as well as the shrubs. You can see here, these are some English cottages, and one is in the summer and one is in the winter. And I love that dusting of snow, and that was the look I'm trying to recreate. So you just want to be careful that you do not apply too much. As like I said, we're just creating a dusting of snow. So you can see how effective that looks. You can give these a coat of some clear spray paint in a matte finish or some varnish at this point if you'd like to protect these, but I decided just to leave mine as is. You can see the difference between what we did and the original here, and they look so much better now. Okay, we're going to start to assemble our village. My board is all nice and dry. I am not going to worry about those holes. I'm just going to leave them as is, as they are going to get covered up. What I like to typically do is figure out my placement for things first. I always start out with the larger items when I'm creating wintry scenes, and then I go ahead and start to add my trees. These are bottle brush trees, and I like to take the bases off and add a stick to it to make it look like a tree trunk. And it also helps you to raise the height of these as well. And I'm going to just create some different heights with the bottle brush trees and different sizes. I typically get my bottle brush trees when they are on clearance at the end of the season at Michael's, or I get them at dollar stores. And then you have a variety of some different styles. Now, I don't know if England has evergreen trees. If you know, again, let me know down in the comment section. All right, I also love to add some branches because then this looks like deciduous trees in the wintertime when the leaves are all gone. And so you can see I've trimmed them down, and I think these are going to make such a fun touch. I'm also using this bush that I got from Michael's. It's an evergreen bush of faux greenery, and I like to use those as some mini trees as well. So now that I've got a rough idea where I'm going to be placing everything, I am going to use some hot glue and start to glue my houses into place, and then I'm going to go in and glue my trees into place as well. So I'm going to show you how I add the tree trunks. I remove the base of these. I'm going to trim off as needed. And then I'm just going to take a stick and add some hot glue and put that stick into place. And you're going to have to hold it there while that glue sets. So be patient. You may need to go back in and add some hot glue as I'm doing here because I really want this to stay in place. You can see that the hot glue did not show. So now it's ready to put into place. I'm also going to add my branches now, and I'm going to add a glob of hot glue to the board and then place my stick into that glue like you see me doing right here. And you are going to have to hold on to that branch. Okay, now I'm going to also add this evergreen brush that I had, trimmed it down, and I'm just going to add a bit of hot glue to the edge as needed because I'm pressing that right up against the cottage. And then I'm just going to continue to fill this in until I have a look that I think is really pleasing to the eye. I have to say, this project really plays to my childhood memories. I used to imagine that fairies lived in the forest and they would have cute little cottages or lived in the trees. And I think this is just really coming together and just, like I said, just brings back those fun childhood memories that I have. So now I'm going to add some shrubs, and I'm using moss. And you can see I'm just allowing the clumps of moss to pile up, and that is going to create those shrubs that I wanted for my fun little village here. I'm going to cover up any glue that you can see using the moss as well. And then again, I just added some hot glue and pressed the moss into place. So for a fun, whimsical touch, I'm going to add some fairy lights. I got these ones off of Amazon, and I like them because they've got like a skinny battery pack. I'm going to just slip that in behind and hide it. And then I'm going to start to weave the lights in and around. I'm not sure how many lights are on a strand, but you could use a minimum of 20. Probably 30 would work really, really well because then you can really maneuver these lights to your liking. So I like how that's going so far. Now I'm adding some faux snow. I don't mind using faux snow. I know it's not for everybody. So if there's something else that you prefer to use, then of course use that. But I like to just add some hot glue and then press the faux snow into place. I even added some to the shrubs, as you see, and I'm going to add some to the cottages as well. I love that you can find something in the summertime and transform it into a fun and whimsical Christmas project. I had so much fun creating this project. Let me know if you plan to create something like this for a Christmas in July DIY. I have some more Christmas in July DIYs for you to check out right here. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.